I Xposed GH, the name is Ben Bruce. Baby, I will be Ambi Jack Cinema. On subscribe, me to Mpa now on Sa Akabi. Kennedy Akopreko Agyapong. He is in the news again. Some time ago, time Ahmed Swale, a journalist, unfortunately. Now, we're pointing accusing figures. Now, on Anas, Omunya issues be the Ghana court in a Kennedy AD Nkunim. Now, no, Anas is on TRC no tam asem no at the call US America. And no mubu asem no. Now, ye mu asem no crime na Kelvin Taylor. Debi am come say bra we were born on TRC. No, but now say award $18 million against Kennedy. Now, some no kind. Would you go to yaba to us
in Ghana?
Yeah.
Into yes. In this case, no, and not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, by a clear and convincing evidence standard.
Okay.
And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And, we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides, the difference between what happened with Ghana and Ghana said, trial by jury. It's judge, or judge back one I say judge me, no one I say judge me and send a video seminar. But normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and a twin from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We're from a veneer. The veneer of 60 citizens, tax-paying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say
your vetiomo, your vetiomo just say ubinim asemu who be an aso nimubia asemu fan who an ase ubi why bia nyamibi osum. So we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements, and then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, judge, in this case, judge, ometro emrano na omodiama jury no ometro mu omekin kan atro mu first. So amo paper amodibeko inside. Aqua decide the different deliberations. Me nim there some meka no but me so say meka. Almost pensing okay. Okay. And there are some more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, the church room running now, and there are some more 4:30. Into now, I dream say we be an 4:30. Caught a phone right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. I dream so. Take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts now the buy and the civil claims now the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
Time I caught
Okay.
to say, sa counting na mode bono no say a on it and us back and forth, right? The on the claim of making or say banter. I just say we can't wait internet and share or no, they're not all can you say ubi to be more almost tomorrow.
But oh, you do court me there. That was not.
And yes, I know what kind. Ura court no G2.
Yeah, be there be maintaining the position say no can or the home standing by no kind.
Okay.
It's basically remember to practice no crane odi no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that, no, or the movie you try in net to who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord to it. So jury never bugui. And about 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're transferred from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuel.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no bedu komono. And also there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes on say there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay people
who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I will not say use their. I will not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other parts. It makes sense though.
And then the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge ever kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, oh no, only to be it's and that's how it went. But what's interesting about Nisi and or a lawyer contrary, even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina Anas Asemna working.
But Anas, Anas. And also a very astute lawyer, dreamer. And and some people walk cry a car on Jim Tumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one anything. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, the peace. Yes, schedule there, and from this time to this time, staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say at this maybe by this time we'll be say grown or they'll commit to the right senses and decide say this shouldn't go on because yes. And I acquire unfortunately, me and Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million. Just like the jury came back. As you know, these days we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year.
I said my friend diabolical, Jimmy diabolical, because of the BB. Brofo na Kelvin Taylor antiasio say Jimmy and we Jimmy say enjoy no antiasio. He was rejoicing. What is this? And this is misinformation. Misinformation. Now people were jubilating say Akopreko Kennedy has lost it. But trust me, at the end of 30 days, Yewura Kennedy Agyapong will reopen his defense with his lawyers. But you see, this is the things that we are saying. Say Ghanaian media no either school papa na yanko and answer brofo niente. Some of us will give you a credible news. I buy my time could you go na meaning say what the people were saying was false. Na yanko tie enchiremu mra ye ba metwaso.
Mr. Quatson has joined me for a conversation. Missy, thank you for your time this afternoon. So you have had cause to say on social media that what we're hearing is fake. What is fake about this?
All right, good afternoon to you and your viewers. Let us understand that as of now, if you read the whole rate and of course all the entire proceedings that came out from court, you understand that what came out in respect of the $18 million is much in relation to the verdict of the jury of the court. And that does not necessarily translate into, say, the judgment of the court, properly so-called. So when the news is spun around and make it appear as though the court itself has decided in their final judgment that indeed Mr. Kennedy Agyapong has been slapped with a fine or damages of $80 million, that cannot be sustained and that cannot be true, and it can at best be described as misinformed or fake. We must understand that at every point there is a difference between the verdict of a jury and also that of the judgment of the court. Of course, I do agree that in many instances and in many jurisdictions, the court mostly adopts the verdict of the jury as own judgment. But within this context, we must also understand that an issue of mistrial has also been raised by the lawyers of Kennedy Agyapong, which the court has now given 30 days to rule on that. Right. So that also shows that there is a hallowed injunction, properly so-called, on even the verdict of the jury. And therefore, at this point, there is no judgment.
So your understanding is that the court has not given a judgment, even though the jury has arrived at this verdict, that is the $18 million charges against Kennedy Agyapong. And you say that until the court gives or agrees with the jury. But you admitted that in most instances, or as has been the case, we get the court adopting the verdict of the jury. How different is this?
Yes, but you see, you must understand that, you see, the jury operates based on defined instructions from the judge or the court. Within this particular context, the jury did not strictly go by the instructions of the court, because the subsequent day when the court has sat and they wanted to determine the punitive damages on the defendant, which appears to be Mr. Kennedy Agyapong, the jury reiterated that they've already added it to the actual and the compensatory damages. And the court was very clear that that was not the direction and the instruction of the court. It was at that point that the lawyers of the Honorable Kennedy Agyapong also rose up to then file the mistrial, even though the court also indicated that they have to do that through a written application. The point is that that issue of mistrial has been raised. So as of now, practically and properly so-called, we can make a case that even the verdict of the jury has been hallowedly injuncted, because as of now, we even have to make a determination on the mistrial before the court can even move ahead to consider same.
So are you saying that
the court declares that indeed there has been mistrial because the jury did not properly follow the instruction? It means that we have to start the entire trial or proceedings once again. But of course, the other option is that the court may also even throw away the application of the lawyers of Mr. Kennedy Agyapong. That will only means that the jury has only arrived at a verdict, and it will now be left upon the court to now make a final determination on the verdict by adopting it as a judgment of the court.
Right. So then, where lies the fake factor here?
Come again?
I'm asking, where does the fake factor come in here?
Yes, the fake is in regards to how the story has been spent and propagated as though there has been a judgment.
Because I have heard,
makes a case that there has been a judgment.
I have heard from lawyers of Anas.
Misinformation is fake.
Kwesi, can you hear me? I've heard from lawyers from Anas, and they have indicated that, well, this is the case. And they have even given indication that even if the court grants that the amount be slashed, they are also going to trigger processes to ask for 5 times whatever amount is arrived at.
I don't think that is a contention. The contention here is whether or not the court had made a final judgment, and the final judgment has not been made. The verdict of the jury does not necessarily translate into a final judgment, especially when there are even contention on the verdict of the jury.
Right.
So that cannot be construed as a final judgment. As to whether or not the court will adopt same and even all the consequential litigation or issues that will come out, that is a subject for the future. But for now, there has not been any judgment properly so called.
Me pacho me wo the full transcript no ho. In the first place no, judge no eka say the jury, ye ka say jury a omo nye lawyers so omo ye members of society ye pick omo to oversee a case. Okachom said the jury has been dismissed because initially no Anas eka say up 30 million. And the jury ni ka say oh there be 30 million is on the high side. Na say Kennedy Agyapong di four muntie ni ye if odi four sika kra so to 18 million and we come check mu almost 5 million for defamation, 5 million for this, 18 million for this, 8 million for this. Almost check mu no no the whole thing was that Kennedy the lawyers so say the trial has what we call there will be a kind of law say mistrial means say the way anyama ko any information about the mind wrong. Our party say Anas information be brand lawyers the mind was wrong. Judge in the chambers no question no who say nia honorable Kennedy Agyapong lawyers they can no credit or buy no or catch them say 30 days to rearrange the jury because that jury we no they are not competent enough. The trial hasn't even been started. It will start in 30 days. That's the figure. Number 2, asema a work courtroom na US courtroom no mo kan ye no. Omo kacha Anas any obi or president say no video should come out. Now, Tiger Eye has released a video of it. It means that they've even gone against the court. And Honorable Kennedy Agyapong lawyers said they are compiling Nyama Tiger Eye Fuaye which is against the very institutions now you are seeking justice from. Now, your friend say Honorable Kennedy Agyapong the lawyers say Anas unya $5 po. It's more rejoice say about Kennedy Agyapong $18 million no. It's a lie. It's a fallacy. Ghana for no monte brofo law no mu so they don't call people to what even listen to what they are saying until people are peddling what falsehood that is not true. First on Xposed GH, I'm telling you, send ya what ya Kelvin tell any other bloggers or man ko school papa kan no, it's a lie. I Xposed GH FM Bruce. Subscribe, share the 2 man outside bonus.
Keep watching Xposed GH, the best channel on all of YouTube. Yes.